Greetings and welcome to the Thirsty Mage, the podcast that promises to cover a game and every so often actually delivers. I'm your host David Lloyd, and it may have been a few months behind, but we're finally having our Persona 5 Royal spoilercast. The game many never thought would leave the PlayStation ecosystem did launch on Switch, Steam, and Xbox last year, and everyone here has had a chance to play one of the greatest RPGs ever made. Joining me is the man who called this game his 2022 Game of the Year. It's Casey Gibson.
Yep, and Makoto is my queen.
Yeah, and also with us, the responsible one who reminded us that we hadn't actually recorded this episode yet, even though I had convinced myself we had done it a while ago. It's Paige Chamberlain.
Well, you see, it's important that we record now because the actual last date of the game is March 19th. So.
Oh, worked out perfectly then.
Timely,
We're just a handful of days in front of it. So
beautiful planning, David.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess procrastination worked in our favor. I guess in this case, more perfect timing for Paige to go. Hey, why haven't we recorded this Persona 5 spoiler cast yet? Like, are we going to do this or what? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I suppose we could do it. That's fine.
Well, first we're waiting for Casey to finish it, and then he's just not bothered with the royal part of it. And...
Well, I didn't finish the royal part completely, but I got the good stuff out of it. I was almost done with the palace, and then I forgot what happened. Something came out.
Yeah, there was a puzzle, and his brain couldn't comprehend it, so he gave up.
Yeah, I'm not the brightest.
I won't spoil it right off the bat because it is the final dungeon, but I have to say that colored path puzzle in that dungeon was one pain in the rump. But we'll get to that in a bit. I guess maybe we'll, just because it's been a while, we'll just remind ourselves how we ended up playing, and maybe we'll just talk about. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I remember if people have played the original and that sort of thing. But Paige, why don't you tell us which playthrough was this for you, and what platform did you play it on?
It was my first playthrough of Royal because I played Persona 5 on the PS3 in 2019, and then I got Persona 5 Royal, the whole fancy edition for PS4 in 2020, and they didn't play it. And then I bought the Switch version of Persona 5 Royal because it's I know it came out, the week before I had the baby or the week of, basically. So I actually started it just before I got induced, get to a save point, but then didn't start playing it till maybe a week after I got home.
Kudos for you for actually going back. I feel half the times, if I'll start a game like that and then there's some sort of, pause and that sort of goes into my original playthrough.
I wasn't far enough for it to, affect me. Plus, I've probably played up to the second dungeon about a couple extra times than I, I've actually played through the game. And yeah, I beat that within 2 months while having a newborn. I took advantage of the phase where they're sleeping the most to get it in, and being on the Switch helps a lot.
The calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Well, that's when you went into labor and were having. I was a little worried. I was like, man, you're not gonna have time to finish this now. And then it wasn't that long after where I think you were out of either messaging or dropping posts or whatever, and oh, she's just powering through it.
Well, I even said, because I've done the first bit of the game a couple times, I think my time is a bit shorter because I did some cutscene skipping, so the first early scenes and some of the early social links.
Yeah, I think after you've played it a couple times, getting through the social link stuff and is a lot easier. It's when you have a firm understanding of having some couple playthroughs to go through to get a real good breakdown of how everything works. You can get through it pretty quick, so that's good. And how about you, Casey? I know this was you said you got partway through the first one, and then this was your first full playthrough.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, I picked it up back when it came out on the PS4, and I got the collector's edition, and I was really enjoying it. And I got up to the second or third palace, and then PAX East rolled around. And then it was one of those, I went to PAX, but then we came back, and then it was probably editing or writing or something and getting back to work and everything. And then, at some point it was too long. The gap had been too long, and it sort of fell by the wayside. And I actually have a similar situation with Dragon Quest XI that I do want to go back and play at some point. But it's like I got far enough that it was like, oh, like I don't want to restart it, but then also like I'm hazy, and then you know what I mean. I'm going to be sort of feel like I just got dropped in the middle of this ginormous game. So yeah, I never got back to it, and I'd always wanted to. Because I really love Persona in general. I really enjoyed 3 and 4 a lot. So when it came out in the PS5, and I figured, why the heck not? We'll take advantage of it. I think you were playing it, and it was one of those. I was like, maybe do I want to get this? And then I was like, I got some other games to play, and then on a whim, I was like, screw it. And then I was a little worried, like, oh man, I hope I don't regret this in terms of playing it and just falling off because other stuff. But yeah. It hooked me in this time, and my however many hour playthrough made it through, and what a game.
Yeah, for me, I think it was 2018 when I played the original version on PS4. I remember getting it. I don't think it was too long after it came out. It was long enough where it's like, man, everyone's talking about this game. I got to play this. And it was my first Persona game. I'd never played one before and got blown away, and ended up going. It got me hooked on previous Personas, so I ended up going to 4. And when Royal came out originally on PS4, I played through that. So this was technically my third playthrough of Persona 5. So I probably got about 250 to 300 hours of Persona 5 down at this point. Which would make you think that, it would be seared into my brain, but I still had to look some stuff up today just to remind myself of what happened.
I was considering just putting some pictures into the dungeons and see if that would.
Yeah, jog. You know what I remember more because I actually listen to it like daily is the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. I've got like the whole soundtrack burned into my brain now.
You can't watch a random YouTube video about video games without hearing it, really. So.
Yeah.
Honestly, the music might be the best part of the game, and that's, I feel like it's tough to say because everything's really good, but man, the music is unbelievable.
Yeah, like it's and especially it's funny because when I was like making a playlist, I was making up a playlist for YouTube Music, and so I'm like adding songs in, and I'm looking at I was just choosing them one by one, and as I'm looking at the list, I'd actually chosen, I think, like the first 3 songs I picked were actually ones that were added for Royal specifically. So I'm like, man, they really they didn't add a bunch of garbage. Like they added some good hits.
Yeah. I have the vinyl Persona 5 Royal, so that's just all the Royal songs. That's on like a nearly golden color piece. The costume, because the DLC, you get all the DLC costumes in this, like just coming with the port. Like if you've got bought the new release of Persona 5 Royal and not the original, because that was one thing that annoyed me with so in the original release of Persona 5 Royal, you had the DLC costumes from the original Persona 5 for free, but then those new DLC costumes you had to pay for. And then with the new character Kasumi, she had costumes to match the original DLC costumes, but all of her costumes to go with the other groups, but she's in her own purchase things separately, which is really dumb. So if you wanted her in like the Persona Q style or something, you needed to buy her entire set of outfits instead of her just being, free with the old and like in with the new ones.
Yeah.
That was really, but if you don't have to worry about that if you've got anything other than the PS4 version, I guess. Yeah.
Although, speaking of the costumes, how dumb is it that you can't preview it? Ugh.
Yeah.
There's especially with the Royal version, right? There are so many costumes, and it's cool, right? Like it changes the battle theme and like the XP screen and stuff.
The thing that's annoying is if you're playing, Joker's costume, if it comes with music, is the one that changes the regular battle music. So if I want a particular theme song, I've got to have him in a particular costume rather than just being able to choose it from the menu. Because there was one where like I didn't like how it looked, the Persona like 1 uniform, but I really liked the song. Like I don't know why they couldn't just make that a little tick like every other game.
Yeah, it would have been nice if you could kind of pick and choose. It's funny, like with all the costumes, I ended up just staying with the defaults anyway, because like I considered I considered going with like the Power Ranger Super Sentai costumes.
Yeah, for them.
So I was like, yeah, maybe, but then I was like, no, I kind of like their actual costumes are pretty banger already. So I ended up sticking with that.
Yeah, I think I liked the original costumes the best, but there were some really cool ones. And right, it's fun to sort of go back, like the Strange Journey,
the big helmets.
Some other throwback ones that are pretty cool. That and like you said, always a treat. I would mess around with them a little bit and switch around, but yeah, I'd usually sort of gravitate back to the defaults.
Yeah.
When I played originally on PS3, I got an American PS3 disc and I bought DLC for it, and apparently it's not compatible. So I bought all this costume DLC and couldn't use it, so I had to play the whole game with the plain outfits and having wasted my money. So this one I definitely I changed it here and there. Like there's the C's uniform where they look like secret agents or something. I use that for I use that for like the bank. There's one. It's kind of annoying because it was like I go to the casino palace and then I give Akechi a suit that looks like a James Bond suit, and like he even has like a gold gun for it. But no one else had anything that quite fit that the same way. It was a bit annoying.
Yeah,
like their suits were all like butler suits or something.
Yeah, there's some pretty funny ones in there. Yeah, I guess I didn't say. So I ended up. It was one of the first. It might have been the first Steam Deck game I actually played. Now that I think about it, it's been that long. It feels like I got my Steam Deck an eternity ago, but it wasn't actually that long. And I'm pretty sure Persona 5 Royal was one of the first ones. Well, technically, Trails in the Sky was the first one that I actually started to play, so I could say that Trails in the Sky was the first game. But the first game I actually completed was Persona 5 Royal. So yeah, it's a lot of neat stuff there. But I guess we could probably start going through the game itself. Like I said, this is a spoiler cast, so if you came here not wanting to hear spoilers, I got some bad news for you, because we're gonna spoil the crap out of this game. And I guess maybe we could just start right off the bat with so there's a new intro movie for the game itself that has one of those songs that I was talking about that I've actually got on my playlist. It was probably, like I said, I think it was the second song I ended up picking for the playlist. I think it's Colors Flying High is the new song by Lynn. And yeah, it plays through the intro, and it has this kind of like neat... it's like the Phantom Thieves walking through Tokyo and like destroying... It's almost like they're kaiju, like destroying all the buildings with like baseball bats and stuff, which is pretty funny. And then it kind of... shows off Kasumi doing like ballet and stuff in the rain, and and then it hits the game, and so the game pretty much plays for the most part through like the story up until like the final boss is pretty much the same with some changes here and there. But the kind of like intro to the game itself is adds in the Phantom Thief Kasumi as well. So it starts. The story kind of starts halfway through the story where it's Joker, and again, anyone who's played, Joker running through the casino and getting captured, and then the interrogation. But right before the capture, when Joker's running through the casino, there's a section where there's kind of like a little tutorial area where you fight 3 enemies, and it just kind of introduces you to the combat system, and that's when so in the original game it was just Joker, obviously, but in this Royal one, this is when we actually meet Kasumi in Phantom Thief form. I don't believe any names are dropped at that point. Like
I think it's just a mystery.
Yeah, I don't even think like her code name gets used or anything. It's just they're like, who's that? Well, I don't know. And then the two of them kind of talk together like they know each other, and then she helps you defeat the enemies, and then you don't see her again until she pops up as Kasumi when he goes to school. But Yeah, it just gives you a little taste of how she's going to play in that opening introductory section.
Yeah, and I really like her suit, the palaces and stuff.
Her Phantom Thief costume.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid design.
I thought it was funny there because I just killed those guys straight away, so I didn't even get to see what her persona's like.
The persona didn't even get to come out.
Paige was too good at the game.
Well, he get punished for being too good.
I just played it on normal. I think when I first got Persona 5 Raw, I tried to play it on hard, and I was just like, this is too much. And then later on, I learned that hard is actually the hardest difficulty because of something to do with the Merciless, where the technical system that they've added, like, it does way more damage. So hard, like
So it's not hard, it's really hard.
It's like hard is harder than the one that's above it, actually, because you don't get that extra damage bonuses for dealing with weaknesses.
Oh man, that would be tough then.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. I like Persona 5, but I don't like it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything? I guess that kind of leads into. So I guess the whole point of the story is, Joker's. I don't know where Joker is. Because they make it seem like he's not from that area.
He's in like his hometown or something, right?
Yeah, and for whatever reason, this rich businessman is drunkenly walking through the streets of his backwater country town, pushing women around apparently, and and ends up getting sued. And then Joker's like absentee parents decide to send him to a stranger's house in the city because that makes sense.
Yeah, let's put him around more people. That'll do him good.
Yeah. Who's this Sujiro guy? I don't know. He seems all right. He's going to stick our
old guy. Yeah.
He's going to stick our kid in a dust-ridden attic above a cafe. I'm sure it's fine.
And I do appreciate he doesn't even like really do anything. He's like, yeah, you can go up there and fix it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he got the call at 4:00. He's like, yeah, he's on the way. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no bed, no nothing. I don't think.
With the premise of these, where it's just like some kid gets passed off to relatives, or in this case, like a friend of the family somehow, and it's
even the friend of the family part was loose.
He gets paid for it though, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that's why he was doing it. It was for the money.
You're like a foster kid. He doesn't want.
And I appreciate that he doesn't even let you live in his house, which is right down the road. It's like, no. You're going to live in the attic above my cafe.
Yeah. I don't want you anywhere near where I have to sleep. You're a delinquent.
Troublemaker. Yeah. It's like, we're going to keep you at a distance.
Yeah. And then threatening to send him to prison the entire, like, pretty much the first half of the game. You get into trouble, you're just going to jail. I don't care.
Yeah.
Throw you out of here so fast and make your head spin.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even really want you here, man. Just it is what it is,
I'm doing a favor to your absentee parents that I kind of barely know.
Yeah, that I tangentially know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, people do strange things for the almighty dollar.
Yeah. But that leads into the first dungeon. So when Joker goes to school for the first time, poor guy didn't even get to go in his first, one full day. He, lands in the. Oh man, I'm already cognitive world. Metaverse. That's it. I'm like, what's going on?
I don't know. Yeah. Cognitive world has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. So and then he actually meets the palace leader in real life before, when he's like, waiting in the rain, and the gym teacher is hitting on Anne.
Trying to pick up Anne, yeah. Or on. And then just casually. Yeah. It's like, do you want to ride too? Okay, no, good. Yeah. Deuces. Yeah, he's like, you don't have a short skirt on. Get away from me.
Yeah, that's right. You don't look like a good wingman. I'm on my way.
They do a good job, yeah. I mean, obviously, right, it's a video game. They're going to make the evil guys sort of stick out. But yeah, they, right off the bat, right, it's, all right, there's something fishy with this guy. You get to the school and it's sort of like, oh, he's the star volleyball coach. He's bringing us to, I was going to say bringing us to state, but obviously that's more of an American term, I guess. But right, bringing us to the championship. Yeah, he's the guy, but you could already tell, this guy's sort of a slime ball.
Yeah, it's like he's a pedophile, but he's a great coach.
Yeah. But it's like, oh man, it's easy. Yeah. Oh, they would never do that in real life, but man, there are a lot of sleazeballs in spots of power, right? So
Yeah.
I think there was one complaint, like people saying, "Oh, the bad guys in this are so like cartoonishly villainish," and it's like they're based on like real stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, when you think about it, like there's been a few instances like who's that? Well, there's that Penn State guy. Not it's not Joe Paterno. It's
yeah, wasn't it Joe Paterno?
Was Joe Paterno the name? I thought Joe Paterno was like the coach that let the assistant coach do what he wanted, and was the assistant coach that was the actual sexual predator.
I think Joe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he was complicit or like in terms of just knowing it was going on. But yeah, like that was a real bad one. Also, there was the Olympic. I don't know his name.
Oh yeah, the gymnast teacher.
Yeah, who dealt with all like their young girls, and it's like, sheesh, man. Like, ugh.
Yeah, like Kamoshida didn't feel that like he was very cartoonish, especially in the dungeons and stuff, where like that was kind of the point though too, right?
Oh yeah, to ham it up, right?
Yeah, to ham it up in the shadow world.
Versions of themselves,
to
really ramp up the evil or whatever they're known for, sort of their
deadly sins that they all represent.
Yeah,
which I don't think I really picked up on until this version, because in the dungeons they have the seeds or whatever.
Yeah,
and you get an item, and then it's like this of lust and this of that, and those items are really useful.
Oh, they're so overpowered. I skipped the first one, and then after that, I made sure I was like, no, I'm going to make sure I get all of these. And I thought they were like, I mean, usually in RPG, any game really, right? Like I'm usually checking every nook and cranny if I'm into the game, right? Like I'm not just trying to blow through it. So I found all of them pretty good, but I did go back and grind out that first one in the mementos. But I really liked finding those, and those rooms look super cool. Oh my goodness, I loved it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the animation for one of them, like the one you get from the bank, is actually really annoying because
it takes a long time.
It like slams a safe on them or whatever, and it's like so. And then I'm using that in like later on. We've got the one timed boss fight, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I use that all the time. Actually, that one.
Yeah.
And I really it was a long animation, but man, like just the safe like coming down, it like was really satisfying to use, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's too bad it didn't do like one animation for all four of them at the same time. But it was definitely like I abused that one throughout the entire game. It's funny that you missed the first one because I used that quite a bit too, because it was Champions Cup, and so it had this cup like pouring a drink on top of somebody, and it not only did it heal them, but it gave them increased attack. So I was abusing that one pretty well too.
Yeah, like you said, they really did make it worthwhile, which is cool. Because I feel like sometimes with some of because usually too, right after you get to the third seed, those bosses, or that I guess they really weren't bosses, but the enemies sort of guarding that last seed were usually pretty darn strong. And like I had a few close calls where like, oh man, this guy was actually pretty darn tough. So I felt like the reward felt real nice.
Yeah. Anything in particular stand out with the Kamoshida dungeon for anyone? So this was the school that got turned into a castle, I guess. I
liked how the castle looked, and you had the knights and stuff. And this one, there's like, you get to the rooftop, and it would be like this whole section we had to try and stealth it, but like in Woe, you just completely skip it because you've got the
the grappling hook.
Yeah. Like the thingy-majig. Yeah. Just go over it. And that's like, I had to look up where some of the seeds are, because like I feel like the one that's around the tower is the easiest to miss, to be honest.
I think so too.
Yeah. That would make sense, because like I said, I might have looked up a seed location throughout the game, but most of them I found pretty organically. Except, like I said, in Komoshida's, I definitely didn't get that. So
there was actually two that were pretty well hidden, because in that dungeon in particular, because there was the one that you talked about, Paige, when you're on the top, when you're outside, It's like you have to use the grappling hook to go like around the castle. It's kind of on the side, and you have to kind of jump up and then jump down and then go through a window to get to the seed. And then the last one with the boss that you have to defeat is in like an elevator that you wouldn't use otherwise. Like,
oh, I swear I've seen that elevator before though.
I think it was in like the first game.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a seed down there previously. Like I think there might have been like a chest or something in the first game, but I don't think you need to go down that elevator to progress in the game though. Like you still have to. It's kind of still taking you.
Like an extra, I think.
Yeah.
Might have been to unlock a shortcut. I can't remember, but
yeah.
I think the one on the tower I definitely missed. I was like, how do I even see that really? And then I had to look up where one was in the bank because I couldn't. Like I could tell it was there, but I couldn't figure out how to get to it.
Oh
yeah,
like, with all that spinning.
I don't know, Morgana's or whatever. It's like, oh, there's a seed nearby, and you can sort of hear it, and I'm just like, where is it?
But where? Yeah.
So
I really like the first palace. I think it set the tone right of the game. You sort of get in there. It's like, oh, okay. Like you said, everything's sort of, exaggerated, at least from like the main or main antagonist of the palace, but also, right, like going through and seeing the different dungeon cells and then like seeing the students sort of being like just tortured, right? Like, oh, they're playing volleyball, but they're like getting like just abused and stuff. And I think it sort of sets the tone for the game. Like, okay, like this, it is going to explore some sort of dark themes. And, Persona always sort of does that. And then, but also has like the sort of bubbly, like characters and stuff too. So I like the contrast between the two. But yeah, honestly, one of my favorite, not my favorite by far, but one of my, the ones I enjoyed most was the first palace here.
Yeah, he was probably one of the better villains. I also love that
his outfit.
He's in his underwear and he has hairy legs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's one thing to have him in the underwear with a cape with like hearts on the cape or whatever, but to add in the hairy legs was just hilarious to me.
A nice touch.
Yeah. And it kind of offset like I love the awakenings in Persona 5, like that scene where they're getting like pissed off and the persona explodes out of them and stuff. So we get treated to 3 in the first palace, and it's always funny to see like Kamoshida, like you have this like guy who's getting like blasted away by the wind, but he's like in his underwear with the cape flapping in the breeze and stuff. And I just like, it's a serious moment, but I still like was laughing through a couple of them, which is funny. And I mean, yeah, like even Anne's there where she, they got her like strapped up on the thing, and then the shadow Anne comes out and is like kind of all over him. I'm like, man, they're really like they're going full tilt. They're not taking it easy. They're just going for it, Like they're going for
they're not holding punches.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty dark themes because it's also about like someone tries to commit suicide. The kids are clearly being abused, and the adults don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really like the whole game, right? Is just sort of like adults suck and they're all horrible.
Yeah. Sets the tone. It's like a great tone setting dungeon, really. I know people have complained that it takes a while to get into Persona 5, but I don't know, I just felt like you couldn't have done better. Like that was the dungeon was a great setup for the game, I think.
Yep. And then especially from anyone that has played a previous Persona, right, where all the dungeons in previous games have sort of been, procedurally generated, where this one, right, these are really handcrafted, and it just shows like, like, oh
purposeful,
my goodness. Because in old Persona games, right, I would almost feel like it felt like two very separate things, and it still does to an extent, right? Like there's like, hey, when I'm doing the social links talking to people versus like, oh, when I'm going into dungeons. But in previous ones, it'd almost be like, oh, okay, we're going into dungeons. Like it's grind time, baby. And like I could like turn on the TV or something, if I was playing on the Vita, right? And it's like, okay, I'm going to be going around just killing enemies, battling. And then eventually I'll get up to a boss fight, and then maybe I can, sort of shift the focus more. But with the palaces, it really, they kept your intention pretty good. Like, you're engaged and you're finding out these different puzzles, and then, you're looking for the seeds, and it just to me the handcrafted nature felt really good. And this is coming from a person I don't mind the randomly generated ones, like that's like I still enjoy that style of gameplay, but this they really ramped it up, and now having like such crafted and awesome dungeons, like absolutely like don't want to go back.
Yeah. And Kamoshida as the boss, like when it gets into the boss fight, it felt like again, like this was my third time playing it, so maybe my viewpoint's a little skewed, but I felt like they had made the boss fight a bit easier against Kamoshida compared to just the original game. And there was one addition where they made is they have Shadow Shiho and Shadow Mishima come in to like give him. I think they bring him like a volleyball or something to shoot at you, as an attack. Like that wasn't that wasn't in the first game, so it was neat that they I didn't think they'd make many like small changes like that, but it just made it that much neater of a boss battle. Like to have those again, just adding these little details that just made it a little more interesting.
And one of the big things that, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I remembered that wasn't part of the battle the first time I played it. But one thing that they changed that I felt like it was a huge difference, and I absolutely loved it, was being able to use the guns every battle, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Initially, you'd go in and you'd have,
6 shots.
Yeah, one magazine worth of shots. And it'd be like, it felt like oh crap. Or like, oh, I know this enemy's weak to, bullet attacks. Like, okay, I'm just going to use everyone's on this to end it. And then, it's gone. But yeah, now that you can sort of use that all the time. And honestly, to me, using the guns felt super satisfying. Just like, it felt like a real nice attack to use.
And if you like do the kids confidant, you can like randomly start a battle by just shooting everyone, pointing their guns and shooting at the enemy.
Yeah. Well, and I think his that kid's max rank lets you use a gun on anyone. Like it doesn't matter even if they're have a nullifier to guns, it doesn't, like it gets taken away. Like you can shoot anybody.
Yeah, I remember doing the customizing stuff a lot and then forgetting, like, oh, why is this character burnt or something? And that's because I've added burn to the gun and things like that. I think I liked Haru's the best because it's just a grenade launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always like Joker's, just good old-fashioned handgun.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that takes us into the second dungeon, which I think...
Was anyone else really hard on Yusuke until like you learnt why he was being?
Yeah, well, he was being a bit of a jerk.
Yeah,
he's an interesting cat. I tell you what.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. My other favorite bit is the when gets dressed to be painted.
Oh, and she goes with 40 layers,
t-shirts on and sweaters.
Oh, have you gained weight or something?
Yeah.
That's so good.
I think that was my best part of like the second chapter, because like the dungeon itself was probably my least favorite dungeon. Like it was fine, like it was a museum motif, so you're kind of going through and stuff. But
I thought it was so cool because like this is like when I first came into, I'm like, that's when I realized I loved this game. Going through the paintings, you got all the security lights. And especially at the end where they're setting up to like turn off the lights at the right time to sneak on a hook, and I'm like, yeah, this is Phantom Thief stuff. This is like,
like that. All right, I'm gonna do this. You're gonna do this. That, and then like, it all comes together.
I fell for the, there's like the painting of a hole on the ground, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you got Morgana, right? Like, the treasure sense took over, and it just gets caught up in there too in the security trap.
Yeah, that's one of the few times I think where like you're forced by yourself, like, and then you have to unlock the party members and not die in the process.
Yeah. This was like I said, I like this one a bunch too. I thought definitely, right, like the first one, right, you're in the castle, it's cool, but yeah, this one felt like you were more of an infiltration instead. Like, I mean, I know you were sort of breaking into the castle and all that stuff too, but like Paige said, with like the fact
there's more heist style.
Security system and all this. Definitely a nice follow up, and to get like that, what a jerk. Matarambe. Yeah. I mean, like, I know, like, Komashita, I guess, really, when you compare the two, bigger jerk for sure.
Don't know, we might have a slightly higher number of victims because of his age, though.
Yeah, he's an old man.
Well, and I don't think they put a number on how many artists, like, he kind of adopted, chewed up, and spit out either, right? Like,
we've got the paintings of the style of the area, and that was quite a lot.
There's so many of them, and I believe, right, this is where they introduced the idea that things in the real world will alter things within
it's one of the ones with a roadblock.
Yeah. So, like, then it was like, we gotta break into, and that's, I guess, where, with Paige mentioning sort of On getting painted, was like the whole scheme was, right, to distract him so that Morgana could, like, sort of break into that room to open the door within the metaverse.
Right, they had to convince Madarame that the room could be infiltrated, like that. The whole idea of like, But then there was also the I think there was like it was also the first dungeon where you had to go to mementos, because I think the bank teller was like a former student, and they needed something from the student too.
I think so.
So there was a lot of things being tied together in the second dungeon.
I think to introduce more stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I really like the idea that, right, they both worlds play off each other, and how the emotion of the palace leader can alter things within their cognitive world, which, I mean, obviously it makes sense, but to sort of see it in practice, and you know, sort of open up the door like, hey, it's not going to always just be go infiltrate one day, bang it out, go out, and then have, another month and change to go talk to your friends. It's like, no, there's going to be situations where, you can't necessarily beat the entire palace in one go. Yeah. And you're going to have to bounce out, do some things. And again, it sort of adds some new layers. And I really enjoyed that.
The boss fight wasn't easy either, because it was a kind of a puzzle mechanic style where there's like, I think it was like 5 or 6 paintings that were all kind of separate from each other. They were all kind of floating around or whatever.
I actually figured that out on my own, and I normally like look stuff up, but I was just like, saw different parts, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's like, this one's physical and this one's skill based, and it was, and I was like, ah.
Yeah, and then you had to make sure that you were knocking them all down simultaneously, because they would revive each other.
That wasn't super hard, but like, one thing I felt like in this version of the game, I don't think I managed to get the paint on them, because like this other mechanic was popping up where there was like copies of Madarame.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't think I ever did the someone runs away and does this thing.
I think it was pretty neat too that they built in the every time Madarame copied itself, it was like an inferior version of the previous copy, and it made the boss like that. That's basically how the boss battle ended. Is like it would start hard and then got easier as you went, because every time you knocked out one of the bad guys, he would come back that like half of his health or something like that. So it's a pretty neat setup. Like the designers. It's incredible how much thought went into the everything. Basically, like everything is just so detailed. But that brings us to, I believe the third dungeon is the Kaneshiro dungeon. The little gang leader, little weasel.
Well, he's a fly and he's supposed to fucking...
Yeah. Oh god. Although, what's her face? Makoto goes off the deep end to get into it, right? Like. Yeah.
My favorite awakening for sure. Yeah.
When she just busts in and like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, girl? Like, you're going to get yourself killed.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. Yeah. So this is Flying Bank?
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Well, Makoto's my girl. So this was I always like this one as well.
Palace theme's really good too. I also like it thematically because it's a bank as well. Any palace that didn't have a roadblock, I finished in one day in this, so I had more time to try and do everything else. So I
Yeah.
think I still got a little tired of it in the end, just because I was like, you get to that one where it's the giant like safe lock, and I'm like, oh, cool, and then I forgot like there's a whole bit more in each, like
It's like 5 sections, I think.
Yeah,
It's,
so
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
And it keeps
but like
turning.
the rest of it.
yeah.
When I was going through it this time, a lot of the dungeons felt a bit smaller than I remember them being, but that might be because I was doing them in one.
Now, the one thing about that final section though is if you wanted to cheat and look up the codes online to skip the majority of that final part, you could just look up the codes.
Could you?
Yeah, like the codes are always the same. Like they're the same words.
It's interesting because I feel like usually games will either randomize it, or if it is the same, like the game still sort of has some sort of like flag that you actually figured it out via the game.
Yeah.
There's one game at the start of the South Park Pressured Butthole. There's like a password to the basement, and if you know the password already, or like you could figure it out on your own, you just get told off by a Carmen pop-up saying, you're not Tom Brady. So, so you have to go and find it.
Well, AI the Somnium Files. There's a code that to get like the true ending of the game, but it's random for everyone, so you have to actually write it down when they give it to you.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like this one. I really like that last section where you're figuring out the codes, and then you see the entire room sliding and like opening the path.
It looks cool.
Yeah, looks cool, and like Paige said, thematically, right? Like you're breaking into a bank. Like what's more Phantom Thieves than that,
Yeah.
And being able to kill that dirty fly boy when you get to him.
Did anyone pay for that room that you had to pay entry for?
I did.
Yeah.
And it's just a shortcut, right?
Yeah.
And the worst part was I had already cleared all the way around, and I was like, I wonder if it does anything, And I just got rope-a-doped into spending the money.
I didn't. I looked it up, but I was just like, I didn't like not having the map completely filled.
Yeah. And for me, it's like in a game like this, I pretty much I don't run from battles because honestly, and I'm sure after we sort of run through all this, I don't know if we're going to touch on the battle system.
Well, they respawn a lot less in this version, which was very helpful in another.
Oh, really?
Dungeon. Yeah, I don't know. In a particular dungeon, there was a bit where there's like 2 layers to the rooms, and like they used to spawn each time you went up and down, but they fixed that thankfully. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, for me, like, so I'm always like, I want to get that map looking all filled out. I want to kill all the enemies I encounter, and I'm going to pay the skip, even though I don't need it.
Yeah. The next dungeon it was a pretty neat dungeon too. The factory style. Oh, I'm skipping. You're right.
Pyramid.
Yeah, pyramid.
Yeah.
This might have been the best. Potentially the best theme song for a dungeon. I don't know what you guys think.
The puzzles weren't as hard this time around as I remember them being.
Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like something changed though, but I couldn't put my finger on what changed because I felt like I went through it faster than the first time.
I feel like arguably this could be one of the best dungeons in the game.
I like that it's like you can see the path to the ending originally, and then it's like locked, and then so it's all like one just in the middle,
one corridor.
Yeah, and then you got to just go to the sides to unlock the next section.
A safe room. I liked that part.
Yeah, and the shadow, like this is the only real shadow word that's actually trying to help you through the.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Because you're, and then at the end, right? It's like. Well, Futaba is in her own cognitive world, and then like, what does that even mean? Like, how does that work? I thought, I mean, I'm a sucker for like Egyptian style art, like architecture and art and stuff, so that might also play into why I enjoyed it so much. But yeah, I thought, like you said, it was cool that it's like, hey, you can see pretty much the end, and it's just sort of working your way through it. But yeah, again, this is actually where I had beaten this one in my original run, and then that's where I stopped.
Yeah.
So I guess this is more or less halfway through the game, give or take. But But yeah, another really cool layout. Like you said, I thought was sort of cool how it was just like, yep, you can see it, just get there.
Yeah, some of my favorite cutscenes are in this dungeon too. The one where they're driving, in the car and there's no air conditioning, and
they're peeping over.
Yeah, they're peeping over, and then On just slugs them all. That was pretty hilarious. And then when they're when the pyramid's falling apart and they're like running down the pyramid and stuff, like it's just, like there was some comedic gold in that dungeon.
Yeah, I liked the sort of slide puzzles too, right? That to sort of see the different pictures that would unlock the next spot. I thought was sort of pretty cool. Nothing was too difficult, but they sort of showed little motifs of what's going on there, which was nice. Trying to think what else.
Story wise, like it's about, like you said, it's like she's not a villain. She's someone that is like sort of trapped. In this mindset that she needs to break free from, so she asks for help to get out of that. And they basically have to fight this image she has of like her mother to break free.
Yeah. The image that wasn't even like necessarily hers, like it was like embedded.
It was twisted thought.
Yeah, with the adults telling her like this is what she was, and it was kind of going against her memories of her mother so it was really confusing.
Yeah, it's implanted in there, and like you said, the fact that it wasn't just a bad guy, right? So it's like we'd already at that point had 3 dungeons where it's like, oh, go beat the bad guy. Sort of shakes it up a little bit, breaks the formula, and and then obviously then you get Futaba, which I know is a fan favorite out there.
Yep.
Well, and then her social link is continuing that story of her trying to break out and not be shut in the tomb.
Mm. Yep, and then that's also gets some really cool moments when you got to break into her house, right? And then it's like you're like back in the real world, that is, and trying to like sort of get her to open the door, and then it's all like, what do you? We're breaking into the house too, and
Yusuke breaking her Power Ranger figurines. I love that. That was hilarious. So I guess the next dungeon is the factory style with the what's it? The burger place. Why am I blanking on the burger?
Kumara?
Big Bang Burger.
Big Bang Burger. That's it. Where it's all like spaceship themed.
I didn't actually hate the dungeon.
No, the dungeon was good.
It didn't feel. I guess because I sort of knew the enemies too, so I knew that this guy reflects physical or whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew how to do with Mothman this time, because just like when I went into Mothman in the original, I didn't try my gun because I guess you have unlimited bullets in that one too, and that's the only thing it was weak to. So I'm literally using like every element on him and like why. And whereas this is just go.
Oh, I hated that boss though, man. That was
the
awful
bad
boss
part because it's timed, and that's when I turned the difficulty from normal to merciless, because 3 times damage when you get technical weakness.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, so there was the timing of it. I think. Well, and it took worse. The battle took forever. It was like a 20 or 30 minute timer, and then you needed the whole 20-30 minutes to defeat the boss. But then, you had to. So waves of enemy comes out, and you had to kill the entire wave at the same time. Like it was just a nightmare. Just run
away.
Yeah.
I feel like they made it harder in this version.
I think they did. I don't remember it being that hard in the first game.
Like it was stressful because it was timed, but I don't think it was that much of a pain.
No. Yeah, I don't think the timer was ever really a factor. It was just so frustrating. Yeah. This was probably the only time in this game that I would I didn't like rage quit, but I was actually pissed off. Like, are you kidding me?
They were damage sponges. Like it was insane. Like when you got to like the 3rd or 4th wave, like the fat robots, like they would just soak up the attack and then just run away. Like it was so frustrating.
And I made the mistake of saving, I think what I did was I came back in to kill him or something, and I don't know. I saved at a spot that was not ideal. Like I had just changed up a bunch of my demons, and it was like, oh god, did I screw myself? Like, am I gonna have to backtrack 2 hours of progress or something. And I was like, I barely have any items like that could like help trigger the, the weakness thing. Like I think I did it like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, ugh! I was ready to like flip a table, like super pissed. But it was really nice to finally beat it and just be like,
and then enjoy our trip to Disneyland.
But easily the most frustrating part of the game that was this boss fight.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like the first like 3 waves were a joke, like, oh, okay, easy peasy. And then it was just like that one wave, and it was like, oh, God.
But once that was complete, you got a treat, because the next one was the Nijima dungeon, and maybe my favorite, and not just because of Sai and Sai's shadow.
Also good thematically, in the casino. Like I said, I dressed up with because that's what the dungeon where we get Akechi. And he was in his little Bond outfit, and then he would do like the random shot, and it was like,
yeah.
So
I think it's where we catch up to the real time, right? It's we had been seeing all the interrogation up until that point.
We're not in a flashback to the end of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Again, casino, super cool to be pulling off a heist in. Like it felt good to get up to quote unquote present day or close to it, right?
Yeah.
And then I think we'd be remiss to not talk about Shadow Najima. Like,
yeah,
I felt like, well, this is the one where I said I wasted an entire day, because in the original playthrough, I was like, got to save room, and there was another photograph, and I'm like, nah, I'll do it the next day, and then it was a cognitive block, and I'm like, ah. So this time, obviously, I didn't have that problem, but.
Yeah.
Just an entire day wasted. I felt like the boss fight was easier this time.
I think it was the easiest boss fight in the game.
Yeah, like she changes into this really creepy, almost Bioshock looking thing, and
yeah, and it's only really like because that first phase, like as long as you,
I feel like the roulette wheel, it's really awesome though. Like looks awesome.
Yeah, like if you hit the roulette wheel on the first go, you're pretty much like taking out the first phase of her, and then the second phase really isn't that long. So
I think probably that's the best boss arena in the game.
Yeah, I would say
this one might be the best palace, right? Like
it was my favorite. Like there was lots of colors and there was lots of things to look at. Like the puzzles were pretty neat. It was funny. Like
a casino in general is cool, right? Yeah, like the idea, right? It's like ooh, like.
And then the whole cutscene at the end where he gets caught by the police, and then kind of goes into the
he breaks the glass too. Like he looks like such a G.
They even made comments too, eh? Like, oh, what a show off.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope.
Yeah, he gets the butt of a rifle in the face.
Man, that must hurt so bad.
I'm forgetting because it's like, so that's one where I'm forgetting like what happens immediately next because we go to the Shido dungeon. But I was just like, I like the bit where because there's a bit where the trader reveals himself to you really early on, and you can pick up on it, but none of the characters seem to. But then they reveal that they actually did, and they've had this plan the whole time.
Yeah, which is pretty elaborate plan.
Yeah, it was it is. It was a cool plan, and it was also cool that that they did actually pick up on the other person messing up as well. Because I was just like, but guys, what are you doing?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I said this in the last episode we did, but I'm the only fool that managed to pooch the first time. I think I ratted out my teammates and got the bad ending.
You literally get told like repeatedly, like look out for your friend. Remember what's important to you. Do the right thing. Look out for your friends.
If
And you're
there's
just
one
like,
thing,
nah.
yeah. David's like, the
All
most
right.
important thing is me.
That's
All right,
right.
guys. No bank heist with David.
Yeah. Sai's like, if we cooperate, well, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll get a bargain. I'm like, sweet, give me that plea bargain. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
You
I just want to go home.
forgot to
And
role
then all
play.
it got me was a bullet in the head.
You forgot
Yeah.
to role play as the hero.
Yeah, that's right.
You're just acting as yourself.
Well, that's one way to beat the game quick.
Yeah.
If
I
you're
can't
cool with getting the
remember.
absolute worst ending
There was
ever.
a comment where
Yeah.
like some person had said, the game finished so early. And like the date they said, everyone's just like, you got one of the bad endings.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like someone there is absolutely someone out there in the world who like chose that the game was over and they're like, all right, Persona 5 was just okay.
Yeah. The ending was a little dark, but you know,
Yeah.
what do you...
I can't believe they just killed the main guy like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess I'll go play something else.
Yeah. One of the few video games where the villain is the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it's funny. In our notes, I had completely forgot there was another dungeon, the Shido
Yeah, I
dungeon.
just saw you writing.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm looking at the notes, and I'm going,
We're missing something here.
"There's something missing here." There was another dungeon. I don't remember going from Sai right into the final dungeon. That doesn't make any sense. So pretty neat dungeon though. In the end,
I love how it looks like the boat, and it's like just floating above this flooded Japan.
the cutscene is awesome.
I like the music. And like I said, they fixed the most annoying part was like the mice puzzle where you get turned into mice.
Yes,
in
they
certain
fixed
areas
that.
and you go away. Because one, I just kill all the guys, and now they don't respawn because they used to, like I said, you go up one layer because there'd be up and down parts of this same section, and they don't respawn. So I can just kill all the guys and then do the puzzle. Plus, they added cheese, which I was really wary of, but it just heals you. So
They really made it seem like there was going to be a bad outcome if you ate the cheese.
yeah, and then they
But
auto
then-
do it for you
Cheese,
anyway.
Yeah,
Just rat poison.
yeah.
Man, the game just ended. But yeah, no, it was definitely a super cool. Yeah, just see the big boat just sailing on
Although
through.
Yeah.
apparently wearing the swimsuit DLC doesn't get you past the swimsuit section where you have to get changed.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also like the mafia guy. He was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Then Yosuke's like, I don't want to make a tattoo for this guy.
Yeah. I liked breaking into the room and stuff. So like going from the outside. This is where the story actually starts to make a difference from Royal, though. Basically, or just after.
Yeah.
It, really.
Well, this is where you find out if you're going to get the true ending or not, too, right?
What do you mean?
Well, because you have to have Akechi. I think you have to have up to either 8. I think it's 8 or 9, something like that.
Yeah, because in the
going into this
original,
one.
Akechi was just like a story progressed social link, whereas this one you have to actually hang out with him.
Yeah,
And then-
you have to get him
which
to
was a
10
little bit
to
problem
get the
because I was
true
like,
ending.
I can't, like, he won't hang out, but he's right there, and it's because he's also like, it's like you get up to a certain point and then it's locked till a certain date.
Yeah.
as well.
Oh,
I'm
I
pretty
was
sure it's 8.
stressing. I was stressing. I was like, why can't I hang out with this son of a
Yeah,
gun?
I
Like,
know.
oh,
Yeah.
do I get
I remember, you asked me, I think, Casey, you're like, I can't get it past 8. What did I do wrong? And I'm like, no, you're good.
Yeah, and I was like, but all right, I've got because you need his, you need the counselors, and you need
Katsumi.
yeah, redhead, yeah,
Yeah.
Kasumi. You need those 3 progress to a certain point. So I got the first 2 done, and yeah, I was just waiting for him, and I was like, God, I really don't want to screw this up. Yeah, I think I referenced to David like at least 3 or 4 times. Like, am I good, dude? Please.
Yeah.
But because I'm pretty sure the fight with Akechi is mostly the same. Like maybe there's mechanic wise, but in the original, where it appears that he's died, that's it. You don't see him anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, it appears that he survived because it's you do the dungeon, you beat Shido, and then they think that's when the play. I don't know, because like you're free, but aside.
No, I don't think Akechi's. So yeah, you beat the Shido dungeon, and then the true villain reveals themselves in the Velvet Room.
I mean, just like in the original game, you don't see anything of Akechi after that, right?
No, I think Akechi's that's it for the rest of the game.
Yeah, he's like, as far as we know, he's just dead. And it's
that's wild.
Whereas in that change, like, you notice it's different because a bit later when Sai's like, I need you to turn yourself in so we can prosecute Shido, basically, because he's still, despite confessing and everything, he's still, not being punished, basically. And then Akechi offers to take your place. I'm like, that just doesn't happen. Although Shido boss fight, I liked that. I was kind of worried about when it's just Joker, just because like I don't think they do checkpoints, and it wasn't a hard fight, but it was a long fight.
Yes,
So I didn't want to do it again, but I had my bestie, the paper guy, whatever his name is, and he doesn't take any physical damage.
Oh, yep, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yep.
I had him the whole game, and he was very useful that fight.
Real quick, aside from the palaces, when you guys are fusing demons and stuff, do you have any sort of strategy? When you go in there, like, are you looking online for specific combos, or are you just going in there willy-nilly? Because for me, I would just honestly...
Yeah, I was going in random.
Okay, yeah. Anytime I've ever played a Persona or, Shin Megami Tensei game, it's like, I just go random and just let it fly, that guy looks pretty cool, And, like, obviously, try and get, like, a beefed-up boy that has, like, full range of spells. But yeah, because I feel like some people probably are pretty, meticulous with how they do that.
Some people are probably trying to do their compendiums and the special challenges and stuff, and that would be one of the social links that I didn't finish, was the Caroline and Justine.
Oh, you didn't finish? They actually have a really powerful... Like when you max them out, you there's no level cap on getting the demons. So I'm
playing on normal.
Oh, so really?
Okay,
Yeah, like you could be a level 50 and you can fuse demons that are over that. It doesn't matter.
Wow, that would be insane, actually. Yeah, because I didn't finish theirs either. That would be especially
you just got to pay money.
Yeah, especially in Royal, right? Because like you have so many demons that are like just like gifted to you. I tried not to abuse that at all, because you could really get some super strong ones if you.
I abused it. I abused it to the max. I got the like, how you can unlock the like king demons or whatever for each of the arcanas or whatever. I was just like, I'll pay the money. Here's 200,000. Here's 300,000. Give me the max demon.
One problem with this is because it has the DLC automatically, so it actually messes with a lot of the fusion, because it just makes the DLC persona instead of what it would have beforehand.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. Yeah,
get the busted personas instead. I did like that because they're the personas of the characters from the other games, and then it would be like the Picaro version, and then it's like that persona, and like they've got a Shujin uniform color theme and stuff on them.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But,
yeah. So yeah, I guess that takes us to, so Mementos was obviously the Mementos was throughout the entire game, where it's kind of your classic random procedural generated dungeon, but Mementos is where it all ends for the original ending anyway of
Have you seen the tweet where there was the person who hadn't done Mementos at all, and then you have one day to get to the bottom?
Yeah,
and all you can go to is like the shops and stuff, basically. So like, I don't know, for some, like, you shouldn't be poor at that point in the game, but like you should probably like nearly soft lock yourself if you don't do Memento.
Yeah, that's the punishment you get if you're gonna half arse it.
That's like me in Torna Golden Country is where I got rope-a-doped. I didn't touch any side quests. But no, I liked Mementos. I would always, pretty much the first chance after I beat a palace, I would go in there and clear my way down to the
I would area. Wait until like the next thing. I wait till I get targets, basically, so I could do it one
Yeah,
one
maybe
ship
that's what I
mostly.
did. Yeah, like
Which
where I
think
could like do the boss or whatever.
there were some social links I didn't really finish because I needed to like do the Mementos, and then I'm waiting for other
Like the
like
goat
more than
Tay.
one target and stuff, and I'm just like, ah.
Yeah. And Jose was added in the Royal version. He was not in the original, and really serves no purpose other than to turn the seeds into those ultra powerful moves. That's pretty much like the only thing I use Jose for.
I guess they also sort of, right? I mean, I guess it gave you an extra little, right? Because you would collect the flowers while you were downing mementos, and you could trade those in for. I mean, if you'd missed
like healing and buffs and stuff.
Yeah, if you missed any seeds, you could buy the seeds down there, but they're real expensive.
Okay.
And like, so yeah, that I actually ended up, like I said, picking up the first. I think, like I said, I think I had to buy 1 or 2 seeds from that first one, so I was able to pick that up. But yeah, you could, healing items. You could buy a few different things in there, which was nice.
It's mostly like SP stuff, so that I could use it one day, and that's
and
why
also,
I definitely made sure to get my curry and coffee skills up.
You could also adjust sort of the XP item and gold output from mementos with through Jose as well. So you could, there were like the star stickers or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, there's it's like stamps, like at like an amusement park.
Yeah, so you would be able to trade those in, and all of a sudden, instead of getting 1 times XP, you could bump that up to 2 or however high it went up, which worked really well because you could get a lot of experience down there in mementos, and especially if you were out gearing the level or you out leveled the level where you could just run into them and hurt them, you would still get experience. So it was nice to just like almost like
auto victory and then just bank the experience.
Because some of those social links like my girl Tay, you had to go in there and like I said, it was, oh crap, I have to go up a bunch of levels, and like I could just run through like all these people and just like getting a lot of gold, getting a lot of experience, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you make friends with Ryuji and Mementos. It's funny because I didn't grind in this one, but in like that last extra bit, last few layers of Mementos, I'm just like knocking through everyone, which was annoying because then you'd pick up personas you didn't want to and fill your inventory.
The worst was when you're going through just killing everyone instantly, and then all of a sudden you run into someone you actually had to fight, and you're like, why?
But Mementos is fun. I could just do a little bit at a time. They did get rid of a cheese in the original game, which because there's flu season, and in the original game you could wait around for Reaper to come in the flu season, and you could just kill him because he's like, I'm sick. I can't do anything.
Weakened. Yeah.
So I did that because flu season's a bit before Shooter's Palace or whatever. So I was just massively over leveled and when in that original dungeon time I didn't fight anyone because I just had Ryuji's thing. I was like, boop, boop, boop.
Just took care of business.
This time I had to genuinely play the game. Very rude.
I liked as you went further down into Mementos, right? Everything became more distorted. And some of those lower levels are gnarly to look at in a cool way. Like, I like Mementos. I don't know. I feel like when I first played it, people weren't really in love with it. I don't know what the general consensus is, but I never had a problem going down there.
Yeah. What do you think about the final boss of the original game? The final boss,
sort of a pain in the butt.
Yeah. It got harder as it went on. Like once they started, like as the arms were being added, I was starting to get a little worried. It was easier this time around. I think like I was just better at the game this time than I was the first couple times. So the boss battle wasn't as difficult, but it still was a bit of a challenge. But I loved the final scene where the Joker's persona comes out with like the monster gun, just blows a hole through the gun.
Yeah.
Screw you.
I really liked it. I think I had to use a couple of specific people, like tag them in and out to like use like the specific weaknesses or whatever. But I just think it looked really big. You climb up to it. It's a big giant boss fight, like literally like massive. You're fighting a god that's been made from people's minds, basically. Like, it's the center of all their like wants. And yeah, it wasn't too hard. I think that was the one where I was actually using a lot of my items, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at that point, you're like, yeah, screw it. I've saved these items forever.
Yeah.
I like the area working up to the final boss, too, where
the
like...
Penis demon?
What's up?
With the penis demons?
Oh. Clearly my favorite part.
Little penises on chariots.
But yeah, I like the floor puzzles, right, where you'd have to step on certain spots to unlock the door. And then if you re-stepped over it, it would change colors and stuff.
I got a bit annoyed with that because you have the invisible floor pieces, and I'd be like, that's what...
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
It's like, it's way easier than I thought.
But yeah, very, dramatic finish. I thought it was, again, that was technically the finale of the original game. But yeah, felt very dramatic, very, very great to get that W. I guess so then after that, this is where the royal stuff kicks in. So like you get more time in the school. Like in the original game, I think it just jumped from like January to March.
Yeah, you just because you're like you go to jail for a little bit or something. So Joker has to go to jail because, like you said, Takechi in the original game doesn't take the rap for Joker. So Joker has to go to prison for a little bit or whatever while the court is getting figured out, and then it's like it just kind of jumps time to the end of the school session, and now you got Dr. Maruki, who's taking advantage of your victory over the god by hijacking mementos with technology, which I think was a pretty neat. It was neat because like with Dr. Maruki. As like a confidant, he wasn't the most interesting confidant. Like it seemed almost going through the game. It's like, this, did we really need this guy? He's kind of boring. But then to have like everything he did really led up to that when it's revealed, it's like, oh, well, he had been learning everything from the Phantom Thieves on how to create this world or how to manipulate the cognitive world. I was like semi-spoiled by it because my husband played Persona 5 Royal the year before me. So I'd sort of like seen that. He's like, "Don't look,
get out!"
And it's like, palace-wise, it was okay. It's just like this research facility, really clean looking, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of liked the quiz thing a little bit because we had to try and do like his answers.
The color maze was a pain, though. It was so irritating.
With those mazes, I just mess around. Like I just keep going. I don't think too hard.
Slam your head into the wall until it works.
Yeah. That usually works for those kind of.
I like the lead up to it, right? Because it has changed, and then like you gotta
go to your friends and be like, "Are you happy?"
Yeah. Remember me? Remember what happened? Yeah, and then
waste of days,
Yeah, you sort of spark the memory back within them.
It has the countdown for like you have to like do this within a certain amount of days, and then you waste all the days
slapping the sense back into your partners. It's like we just saved the world like a few days ago. What the hell?
Why did we start the countdown? Just don't put the countdown yet. Don't make me feel bad that I'm doing this. Yeah.
Well, I had one confidant left to max out. Like there's I only had the one, so I'm like, okay. He's like, I'll see you in a month, and I'm like, sweet. Now I'm going to be able to max out the confidant.
The two people that didn't really have anything like, I guess, good enough they figured it out. Like it was just like
you
and. Yeah.
Yeah, those moments weren't as dramatic as like awakening a persona, that's for sure.
Although I guess the reveal...
I was going to say, in the original one, does Morgana get a human form?
No, because that is entirely like the cognitive world is in the real world, and people are getting their desires. So there's no human Morgana sleeping on you.
No, it's that's Maruki's world specifically that turned Morgana into a human.
I did like at the end when it's revealed that the reason why Ketchy's there is because he's your like, you know, everyone's got like their mum or their dad or whatever, and then like, yeah, he's your what you wish was still in the world.
Yeah,
your guardian.
Yeah.
No,
but I love their
like, people are dead, and so in the original was Akechi. So like he's only here because of Maruki's cognitive world, and it's revealed that. So like, you know, when you go to fight Maruki, that means you're gonna kill Akechi again. You know?
Yeah, well, and Akechi knows it too. Like there's that moment where Akechi's like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. I don't care. I want to mess that guy up.
Yeah. See,
no major loss.
I didn't like him until like the final dungeon. This new thing, basically, like not even the social links. I was like, this guy's a dumb jerk. Like, but, like I guess I just like because he's more unhinged in this dungeon, and he's like, yeah, heck this guy. I'll die to, you know, prove him wrong.
Yeah, that's right. If I win, I'll die as long as I win. Yeah. I love their joint attack too, where it's like just him going insane.
Yeah.
With it's like him and Joker. Like, I think they're like jumping together on like a rooftop or something, and it ends with him like clawing at the screen or whatever. I love that, and that's new to the game to Royal too. Like they obviously we didn't have that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny because I didn't see any showtimes my first time around, and then I believe you told me, right, they introduced those way earlier.
There was no showtime.
No, there was no showtimes in the first game.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I thought maybe they just got like introduced later or something.
No. That's a Royal edition as well.
They're also pretty busted too sometimes when they pop.
Yes, they were
so good. I love them. Like
this game, this version of the game is a lot easier.
Yeah, and my favorite showtime was
fights, but it's still easier.
Makoto and Haru's wrestling. That was my favorite for sure.
Especially like you give them the different outfits, and some of them work with that really good.
Yeah. And then I guess like the new ending or the true final ending or whatever, where you fight like the big boss. It was
gave
great.
Me a hint for that because you're saying like although it was finite, so I realized I just needed to punch up the persona.
Yeah.
Like I didn't need to leave Maruki alone. Like because if I beat up his persona, then you know problems.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's wait. Like I nearly died from Symvia, and I was like, no, because like everyone else was dead. And then Joker's like got a status effect, so I can't move. And you know, Joker's not allowed to die in any of the fights, so the whole fight's over.
Yeah.
So I very nearly did lose, and I was like, nah.
Ooh.
It was a tougher battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just, you know, like again, it was more just like the time investment. I'm like, I don't want to do this again. Like I know what I'm doing. I figured it out. But. Yeah, that was all right, and then it goes into this another big dramatic fight. And it was funny because, like, again, these don't have checkpoints and stuff, as far as I know. So I looked it up because I was really worried about losing it and having to do that whole thing again. You don't even need to look up what to do. Like, it was
way easier than the first. Like the first part of the boss was harder than the second.
You have to be trying to lose that bit. I think it's like a set piece, really.
Yeah, I think so.
It's all right, but yeah. And then the punch up at the end is funny. Like that.
Oh, the cutscene is hilarious. Where they, I love when Morgana turns into a helicopter, and then everyone's squished inside, and they're like, "Thanks for turning into a helicopter, but you couldn't have made yourself a little bit bigger."
What did you think of his motivations as a villain? You know, antagonist, I guess, not villain.
I mean, it made sense. Story. Like. Yeah, like the backstory. I thought the backstory made sense.
I mean, it can be pretty like compelling because it's like we can say it's not the real world, but he's making it the real world. So like, what's the difference, really?
Yeah. So I thought it was an interesting perspective. Like it was definitely it kind of turned the game around in a sense where it's like, well, why not just make the cognitive world the real world? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, I like that. that kind of it made sense with the way the game went.
It also still ties into the original theme, because the original theme is about like free will, and like you're fighting that god, and he's like people are surrendering their free will to him, but in Mementos.
Yeah, so
it's the same thing, because he's like, you get that, but you're losing your ability to determine your own actions, and then again, you're doing like the deadly sins thing, and biblically, like the first thing humans do is like get free will, which in that is seen as a negative for some reason, but the right to self determination is removed in that ideal world.
Yeah, because inherently, right? Like it's not like he's doing it to be evil, right, or anything to that extent. Obviously, like when you go talk to your friends, like they're all in like really good spots, right? Like, like people who had passed away are alive, and they've got good relationships, and like the desires have been fulfilled. But knowing that it's not real, right? Like. And plus, like you need the trials and tribulations. You need that the bad makes the good even better, right? So,
I think you get a little bit in the palace as well, where some people are like, or some you get like just random characters you don't know saying stuff like, "Well, I wanted to be this, but ended up doing this completely other things, and that turned out to be great for me," kind of thing. Where it's just like they've given up on their original dreams because it doesn't fit in the ideal world where they're the most happy. But they're more happy by not following their dreams. But yeah, like it does. I did kind of just prefer the original ending. I'm like, whereas like in this, it makes your original ending not count. Like you're not.
That's the only downside is that I remember when I played the original Persona 5, like that ending was like epic. And then this time it just felt like
they're like us, like doesn't really.
Yeah, like it's not the real ending, so it kind of takes away the drama and all the build up,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, what price do you pay for his Eden, basically, and that's like the cool Eden thing you have at the end.
Yeah, I'm almost curious if they could have put Maruki, like if they had just flipped it and had Maruki before the final Mementos. I don't know if that would have worked or not, but. Or even it just worked in the Mementos.
Yeah, like just make it together, but
together at the beginning, and then after you defeat Maruki, then it's the Holy Grail after that or something. I don't know. Also, like because Maruki wasn't really a villain per se, so you're like your final fight's not really a villain.
Like, well, you're like at the end just punching a friend, like you're like cut it.
It's not like like the Cloud and Sephiroth ending or whatever, right? Where like. You have this epic battle between like these two forces and good triumphs over evil. It's like, no, you got this guy who was good and he was trying to do good things. Just, it wasn't.
You've got your philosophy versus
good intentions. Yeah. It was like a philosophical battle in the for the final ending. Like, come on. Like the black and white good versus evil is more entertaining, I think.
But then it sparks, right, and not to get into any The Last of Us spoilers, right? I'm not gonna, but like, right, there's with endings that aren't like a set good versus evil, right? Then you have the conversation, like, well, is he bad? Like, you know what I mean? Like, like his intentions are good, but like I said, it's taking away free will. So it's like, was he right to try? Like, he's trying to give people what they want, but like, is that actually the right thing to do? So I think it leaves a little bit of room for a conversation versus like a pure, like, oh yeah, like that guy's just pure bad, right? And like,
well, like the last boss wasn't even a human in the original,
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. I think that's sort of an interesting ending, but yeah, it would have been, to sort of rethink, like, could you have shifted the way it played out? Yeah, like that battle instead, and then you go down into Mementos. But I guess without killing the Holy Grail in Mementos, right, like, would he have been able to theoretically alter the world?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he could have hijacked Mementos, and then after you defeat him, you find out like the Holy Grail was like manipulating Maruki into doing
it.
I don't know.
That takes away the fact that it was he used his free will to choose to take away other people's free.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that
Like
would
who should be the
completely ruin his
gatekeeper?
character arc if it's he's just being manipulated.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think no one was, aside from the victims of like Kamoshida stuff. No one was really being particularly manipulated, like villains wise.
Yeah.
I guess being under Shido's thumb or something, but even Akechi tries to make his own dumb decisions. So yeah, it just wouldn't be the same if it was like
or if they had just made it like a side thing from the game itself. Or like you didn't, because the other part of it was like if you wanted that extra dungeon, you actually had to finish the game to use it. Whereas if they had made it like separate from the game, then maybe the people who had played the game before could just buy the royal and then just play that part separately.
I don't think it would work though, because they didn't just change the story; they changed several gameplay systems and added all these new things. Like a lot. That's
true.
So it wasn't just like the royal part of the story is there, but like there's a heap of stuff that you may not necessarily use, like the Thieves' Den. Did anyone touch it? Did anyone play Tycoon?
I did not go into the Thieves' Den once.
You didn't play Tycoon?
No, maybe I should go back, but no, I don't think I ever even went in once.
I went after I beat the game because then I spent my money on unlocking stuff like the points.
Oh,
I went in once and never went again.
It's funny because I just remembered that there's going to be a Persona 5 Royal card game this year, and it's not going to be like the one that's in the game. It's going to be,
Oh, really?
So it's supposed to be Q4 2023.
Okay, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
I mean, Persona 6 can't be that far away. It's been 7 years.
When we're talking about the palette, when I think about the palette, I'm really worried about Persona 6 because we have these really cool palaces, and it's like, what are they going to do that could be better or like equal to this game?
I mean, I think
copy it.
I think it's going to be a while, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when they had, like the splash screen, like Persona 5 2013, and like they had like the chairs with like the shackles on there. And it was so many years after that.
And besides, it's isn't the typical thing to show a teaser image of your game and then not start development on it years later, like they did with Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Yeah,
where it was shown at the Switch presentation, and then some years later they said, we've started development now. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Well,
rumor has it they haven't even started development on Metroid Prime 4 yet.
Yeah. Well, the Persona director left too because he's been working on Project Refantasy and isn't doing Persona 6. So who knows? That maybe they haven't even started. Like who knows?
I think
it would be interesting.
I don't know. They're probably some of these companies tend to like tease before they even started. So it's likely that they haven't.
Atlas seems to have been slow with like any development. Like Project Refantasies, they've been working on that since the Persona 5 launched.
Trauma team.
Like we haven't. Yeah, there's so many. We got Square releasing like a game a week, and then Atlas is like one game a year. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you had mentioned before, or it might have been Paige, I forget. Or I guess Paige, right? Yeah. How do you follow up these palaces and stuff? I mean, right, 3 to 4 like felt like a nice big jump, and it was really amazing. 4 to 5, another big jump. It's like, they're gonna have to, like, the expectations now are set so high, and I applaud 5 for matching, right? Because 5 had super high expectations, and it seems like they knocked it out of the park, right? Like obviously super great game. So now it's like, how do they up it again?
Persona 6 is going to be a VR game.
Well, we have Persona 6. It's called Strike.
Oh yeah.
but I would say like my one, if I had to make a critique on the series as a whole, right? Like it seems like the main cast of characters, there's like they fall into a type, right? Like
well, that's because the Arcana. Like you'll see, like
that is
you have
true.
the chick that's the lovers, and then they're not. I wouldn't compare like Anne to Yukari, but you have like an archetype, and characters might fit this general sort of personality. Like the magician's like your friend. Yeah.
Which I guess, I mean, I guess it makes sense in that context, but like after you keep adding more games and characters, like they feel sort of similar in ways, like that could maybe run into an issue, but yeah, I guess that they all do sort of stand out on their own.
And they don't always. I think you usually tend to have a lovers, but like you don't always have the same thing. Like Ryuji's like Chariot, whereas Chariot in Persona 3 is just like one of the friends you make from a club, so they're not like a main character.
Yeah, they do cycle through the Arcanas a bit for the partners.
Yeah, so that helps as well.
Yeah.
Character wise, I think that'll be fine. I'm just more like set, dungeons and story wise. What are they going to do that's as good as, if not better?
Yeah, it's a tall order, but you know what? Like I said, they've delivered before, so
yeah.
And
we'll see. There's a lot of style that they gotta.
Oh, dude, the menuing and just everything about this game, it like oozes style.
Yeah.
And it is the music is unbelievable.
Have you seen the picture? Because you've got the button things in the main battle menu, so it's like AX or whatever to unlock to do different things. Have you seen like the PC one? If you keyboard and mouse, and it's like friends don't let friends play Persona 5 with keyboard.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to play, I guess.
It looks funny. Yeah.
I loved it on Steam Deck, but man, if I had to use a mouse, I don't know what I would do.
Well, you could try it, right? You got it on
I guess I could try. Yeah.
I guess the one thing I want to bring up before we wrap up is like who our favorite social links were, because that's an important part of the game.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I thought Casey was going to go first.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so favorite link. I would say. I mean, there's some good ones. I like the Take.
The Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's tied to comedy.
Yeah.
Takami.
Yeah, how she like you sort of she's run out of the main city or the main hospital there and sort of tarnished, right? She's the doctor of death, and you sort of peel the onion back, which I mean I guess they're all sort of like that, right? They give you sort of breadcrumbs, and then you get to a certain point, you sort of figure out what was going on and how she was doing research and all that. So I really like that one, and then the turnaround, like you go in and you change the evil director's heart, right? Who sort of has it out for her, and you get to see that turnaround. I liked Ryuji's as well, right? With the school and his friends and stuff. But yeah, I think Tay's my top.
Ryuji was like one of the ones I did straight away, because I focused on
the first one.
I did not max Futaba this time because the one had was waiting for more momentous things, but I made sure to focus on all the Phantom Thieves because I did not touch Haru or Makoto pretty much in my original, nothing.
Monster.
And I was I need so I focused on all the combat Phantom Thieves, but then I still went through a lot of the others. But yeah, definitely Ryuji's like you said, because it's I feel like he gets some really proper character development, whereas someone like Arn's just whatever, and Makoto's just whatever. Use case is alright. Use case is alright, except I hate what he did to the painting. I liked it how it originally looked, so I don't like it. But definitely, Tai Takemi and Iwai, I think, were the more interesting ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say EY because I love that he just a chirp, and when he does the kind of the spy thing where he's just sit here so I can listen sort of thing, stuff like that was interesting. If we're going with which confidant I like the most, it was easily Sainajima.
The one where you didn't have to put any effort into it, I see.
The one that was automatic. Yeah,
I love when the game first came out in English and there's all the memes and it's it'd be if she does the tell me where did you learn this from, and then it would be a dog or something how did you learn to collect newspapers, and then it goes to it.
Another good one was the teacher Kawakam.
I
always say it wrong.
I kind of felt
Kawakami.
Yeah, it was
Kawakami, that's it. Yeah,
it was
something like
definitely interesting, and yeah, it was like always about people being held back by different things, whether it was like out of their control, or sometimes like it was these people, but like say with Ryuji Kawakami, it was also sort of just their personal, like they're getting in their own way, really. So that makes it more interesting. I ended up dating her for this one. Like I dated a lot of chicks, but like she was like the one I went on the dates with because I managed to get it just before the Hawaii thing. And
she's a
funny.
top 3
it's
for
so
me
funny
in terms
because
of
it's
the dates.
like, Kamoshida bad, Kawakami. Like, she's not doing this, like, you know, she's not abusing students and doing all this, but she's still
she's just giving them
breaking
massages.
some laws. Yeah. Oh yeah, I spent some time with Kawakami. Like, that doesn't apply. But I think the disconnect between that's a bit funny. But I also think it's like good to have some of the adult romances because, you know, there'll be plenty of adults playing this game and they might be like,
not want to date a high schooler.
Yeah, I'm not interested in these girls.
Yeah, like Futaba, she's too young for you, bruh. Even though I think she's the same age, more
She's
or less.
1 year younger.
Yeah, 1 year younger. I think.
But I guess mentally she seems way younger because, like,
a lot of people
being awkward
see her more
awkward.
as like the little sister because you got that little family thing.
Yeah.
I guess for me, Tay was the one that I dated first. Then Makoto is the ultimate. She's the top dog. And then, but I did like the teacher as well. But it was really a 2-girl fight. Between
it was
Makoto
funny.
and Tay.
My husband picked Kasumi and only dated her. He's like calling me like a whore, like picking on the girls. But like, he's like, I'm loyal. She's like the canon girl of this one, and I was like,
well, if you at least
crazy.
You both had
She's
the
literally
same
crazy.
A throuple in the making.
You know, like we didn't really talk about her, but it was like, yeah, I was just like, you know, find out like her thing of like she's deluded herself into thinking she's her sister that she feels that she's responsible for the death of because, you know, she was having a bit of a grump and running away and like nearly got run over, so her sister sacrificed herself, which is interesting, but I was just like,
interesting, but the Maruki was the more interesting storyline.
It was really connected to his and him doing that. I definitely feel bad for her grief and that, you know, that would be like on her for like ever. But it was a very interesting reaction to it.
Yeah.
Like I have to, she couldn't be like, I have to fulfill our dreams as me. It was like, I have to be her specifically. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, definitely was strange. Yeah. Well, maybe her red hair is actually just a red flag to stay away.
But I actually got a figure of her for him for a present, and it's really nice looking.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I also made sure that I'm wearing my Persona 5. I'll call them flip-flops since we're having a mostly American audience probably for this.
Oh, what would they be? Sandals, I guess.
No, thongs.
Yeah. Oh, thong. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've heard them called thong flip-flops, but not just straight up thongs.
Yeah, we call them thongs, like, you know, plural, but like that has a different connotation elsewhere. And it's the same thing, like, you know, we'd call erasers rubbers. Because you rub up the words. Like,
well, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to.
But then that annoyed me because the kids would be like, it means this, and like, it means this in a different country. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what they think.
Well, that seems like the perfect place to end the.
Yeah, you can even chop in the thong song for it.
Yeah. We're going off the rails now, so it might be a good time to end. I guess that's our Persona 5 spoiler cast. Nice to put a bow on the experience because, like I said, it was amazing to have Persona 5 on every platform. You know, it's one of the best games ever made. I think so. It's
all those port bags. It's so funny though because Joker got in Smash, then a spin-off game got in the Switch, and then we get Persona 5.
Yeah, it was like it has to be coming, right? Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's nice to talk about it too because it's definitely a game you want to talk about to people.
Yeah.
I mean, like David said, I mean, it could be it's an all-time great, like an absolute all-time great. And like I said, I think what's just most impressive is it had such high expectations, and it just met and exceeded them all. I think I anyone I've ever talked to has loved the game. I mean, I had a friend I played WoW with, and he's he's a multiplayer kind of guy, and he's like, Persona 5 is like one of my favorite games. Like, I just started playing. He's like, I didn't realize there'd be so much text and stuff, but like, oh my god, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk like, yeah, that game sucks, or oh, it's okay, but this, and this are what makes it bad, So pretty impressive.
I've heard one person that didn't like it, but I'm not going to call him out.
Was it Jordan?
No.
We'd have to kick him off, it was he.
Yeah. I was going to say, I can deal with him liking Octopath Stink Traveler, but like, yeah, if he didn't like Persona 5, friendship ended.
Yeah.
We'll have to replace him with someone called Porden.
Oh man. Well, this is the other thing too, is this has been one of the longest episodes in years for us, I think. I don't think we've broken 90 minutes in a long time.
About like the whole, story beat by beat. So
yeah. No, I think we had a great episode tonight. Anything you guys want to plug? Anything?
I've done a few videos recently on my channel page, guys. I did the collection one that's been linked. I did a video on why Atelier is the best cozy game series, because that's not really talked about when people say cozy or wholesome games. And I did a video on Paranormal Site, where you just want to skip a little bit if you're actually interested in playing it, because I've complained about one puzzle and it kind of spoils a mechanic. But
okay.
Yeah, so I've done a few.
Cool. Yeah, so that's Page G Guy on YouTube. And Casey, you're still Talk Nintendo podcast, still going strong.
Yep, still chipping away every week. What we can actually date this. Aaron Rodgers going to be a New York Jet, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
real excited. Oh, you should have heard the primal scream I let out in the car. When that news came across.
It's not official yet, though. The trade hasn't been made, so
it's happening.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah, I like when you imagine the trades, and you just imagine like it's kids passing around like cards or something.
Yeah, yeah. Give me one Aaron Rodgers, please. Okay, here he is. And then I guess upcoming probably within a week or two. I guess I don't know exactly. I guess this goes out this week probably, but probably within a week or two. Right, we'll have some Townsman VR impressions or review type thing here on the Thirsty Mage. So that'll be exciting as well.
Yep, great. Yeah, it'll be fun to see the PSVR 2 and all its glory. I know. I reviewed the original Townsman, and it's one of like the most watched videos we have on our YouTube channel right now. So it'll be good to have that follow up.
Yeah, like I said, it looks pretty cool. So I'm excited to get in there and see what it's all about.
Yep. And as always, if anyone wants to talk about Persona 5 in more detail or any other video game, head on over to the Thirsty Mage Discord. So the link. The easiest way to get the link would be just to go to the website, thethirstymage.com, where you'll get access. You'll see the Discord, you'll see our Patreon link, and you'll see our Twitter handle and all that stuff. So yeah, you can hit us up if you want to, add to the chat. We're always around and happy to talk about video games. But I guess until then, I want to thank you guys for joining me for this ultra long episode, and thanks for everyone for getting this far, and we'll see everyone out at the next show. Bye.
Adios.